is an innovator in media, former chairman of the National Cable Television Association, a Colorado Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame inductee, a father, a husband, an adventurer, an advocate, and a humanitarian.
My dad has always stood up for whatever, he believed was best for the common good.
Trygve Myhren was quite possibly born with the inquisitive spirit of a journalist. His mother was an editorial writer, and while still in college, he was recruited to be a stringer for the AP and New York Times. Years later, he became a member of the management committee at Time Inc. After grad school, Trygve served in the United States Navy and, true to his nature, found the occasional opportunity for competition, once with a memorable game of fast pitch in Kagoshima, Japan.
One of my more interesting military experiences was in Kagoshima in Japan. We were the first American military ship to come in there actually since the war. And I was athletic officer on the ship, among other little duties, and I was the pitcher on the softball team. We walked in and we played the police and the fire department, and they both cleaned our clock.
Back home, he embarked on a Hall of Fame career in cable TV. Trygve's talent took him to the top as chair and CEO of American Television and Communications Corporation, now Time Warner Cable. But his career continued to grow and evolve.
I've always been interested in the programming side of cable television. I mean, I ran a large company as an operating company, operating cable television systems, but programming was fascinating to me.
Trygve is one of the really unique guys in this business that had a hand in building the cable side of the business, the programming side of the business, and the public service side of the business.
Trygve's interest in programming proved visionary. He went on to launch many of the networks that now define cable television, among them E! Entertainment, Northwest Cable News, and the Food Network.
And I remember debating with him when he created the Food Network, because the cable industry was always subscriber fees and advertising revenue. But Trygve believed that he could change that model with the Food Network.
Trygve is an entrepreneur and continues to run Myhren Media even as he devotes significant time to his philanthropic work.
We traditionally developed strategy for media and communications companies, and then we invested in some of them. But with all of my pro bono work, we've ended up having to drop the consulting part of the business.
He served several years as president of the full-line media company, the Providence Journal, which earned the Pulitzer for newspaper investigative reporting during his tenure.
The day after we announced that we were selling the Providence Journal Company, I was sitting in my office in Providence at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the phone rang. I picked it up, it was Dan Ritchie. Dan said, "Trygve, I read in the Wall Street Journal that you're coming back to Denver."
Trygve was invited to join the board at the University of Denver. Dan Ritchie, as always, was persuasive, and this was an opportunity for Trygve to act upon his passion for education and love of the Mile High City.
He told me that he felt like having a first-class university here in the city of Denver was really important to the city.
He sees where he can fit in, where he can do a good job, and he's done that everywhere. A lot with finance, thoughtful questions about the mission of the organization. Where are you going? How are you getting there? Are we doing this the best way? In a very positive, empowering way, but nonetheless, getting to the heart of the matter.
Trygve's sensible approach and commitment to service have impacted countless organizations, from his position as chairman of the University of Denver Board of Trustees to his work with the Paralympics, Connect the Kids, Colorado Forum, National Jewish Hospital, and the Denver Art Museum.
While Trygve has been an art appreciator, he's been in all kinds of media, has paid attention to images and in all forms. It was really Vicki, he would say, that was his mentor, who really brought him along and taught him about the deeper meaning of art.
Trygve to me is one of those guys, I mean, he's amazing in that he sort of, is really low-key and speaks quietly, but when he speaks, everybody seems to listen. And he gets a whole lot done.
Trig is a great champion for our adaptive athletes. As a winter sports competitor himself, his connection with and admiration for these athletes runs deep.
Just below the Olympic start house, where Bodie and Darren Rawls and the Herminator all jumped out during the Olympics, just below that was the start for the adaptive athletes. And these kids rocketed down a wicked downhill course from that point on down. Can you imagine, on one leg, skiing that course at 70 miles an hour? That's just one example of the courage and athleticism that's exhibited in adaptive athletics. And it's one of the reasons why I've been just wedded to these folks for the last 16 years.
In Torino, he was the chef de mission for the Paralympic team, which sounds like a really august position, but there's a whole lot of work involved in that. I mean, there are headaches. There's a lot of stuff. It's not just sort of your formal position to say, oh well, here you go, this is an honorable position. It's like, no, you're going to do a lot of work.
And there's little Trig won't do to support the Paralympic community and to offer hope to servicemen and women in our nation's military hospitals as they cope with serious physical disabilities.
By continuing to inform them of what can be done and bringing them out of that serious depression, miracles are accomplished.
He's a persuasive advocate, a force for fundraising, and like most areas of his public life, a leader.
Paralympic movement wouldn't be in the place we're in today if it wasn't for his vision, his leadership, his generosity. But I'd probably like to lead with generosity is important, philanthropic support's important, but arguably his leadership and his vision and the relationships that he's brought to the U.S. Olympic Committee and especially the Paralympic ski program, we would be anywhere near where we're at today without his long-term vision and continued support.
Trig's family is also an integral part of his philanthropic legacy.
When you say the word Trig in front of alumni and in front of our current team, incredible measure of respect, incredible caring. I mean, he's such a caring human being. The relationship is very personal with our athletes and his family, not just him, but his family.
You know, other than my wife, Vicki, our children are really my best friends. And we've been blessed with children who are actually making a difference, and interestingly enough, their spouses are too.
For all the lives he touches, all the dreams he helps to realize in Denver and beyond, Trygve Myhren is a true humanitarian.
Oh, I'm incredibly proud of my dad. I know my dad has left this world a better place for all of us.
He's about making a difference, and he's a guy who makes a difference every day.
The University of Denver's Joseph Corbell School of International Studies is pleased to present Trygve Myhren with the 2012 Joseph Corbell Humanitarian Award.